Hey everybody, this is Bill. I am a salty old Marine. So let's talk about supplemental claims. What are they? How do they work? When do you want to use them? When do you not want to use them? So previously we've talked about something called an HLR, a high-level review. A high-level review is a type of an appeal when you've been denied on a claim or when you think you should have gotten a higher rating on a claim and you believe the evidence is already in your submission. In other words, you can't add any new information when you file a higher level review. However, let's say, for example, that your claim has been denied or you received a lower rating than you thought you should have. And in that decision letter, remember, read your decision letter. In your decision letter, it says why you didn't get the higher rating or why you were denied. And you look through it and you realize that your documentation is missing something. Maybe, and just give this as an example, when you read your decision letter, it says your claim was denied for lack of nexus, meaning you have your in-service event and you have your current diagnosis, but you don't have a connection between the two. And your C&P examiner, we can suspect, although we can't see it, decided that the connection between the two was less likely than not. So your claim was denied for lack of nexus. Now, if you had submitted a nexus statement of your own from your own medical provider, you could maybe say, you know what, I think they missed that. I'm going to file an HLR. But let's say you did not submit a nexus statement of your own. So you have no way of connecting your in-service event with your current diagnosis. You're not a doctor, presumably. So you cannot write a document stating that it is at least as likely as not that these two are connected, right? You got to have a medical professional in that field to do that. So since you cannot submit an HLR, the evidence is not in your record, right? What can you do? You can submit what's called a supplemental claim. So a supplemental claim is a type of appeal that you can file when you've been denied or when you receive a rating other than what you thought you should have. Let's say you get a 50%, you thought you should have gotten a 70%, right? Once you have read your decision letter and you realize what's missing from your claim, but you believe you can provide that information, then you file a supplemental and you provide that information. When can you file a supplemental? Now that's interesting. A supplemental is a really kind of an interesting step that you can take under several different circumstances. So we talked about it in relationship to having a claim denied or getting a claim that doesn't rate you as highly as you think you should have been rated. And you can certainly do that. A supplemental claim is useful for that when you want to submit more information or missing information. And when you receive a decision letter, you have 1 year from the date of that decision letter, not the date of your original claim, but from the date of the decision letter, to file that HLR, if you're going to do that, or supplemental claim, or even an appeal to the Board of Veteran Appeals, the BVA. So you have 1 year to do that and to maintain your original claim date, right? So if you win on appeal with a supplemental claim, it'll be backdated to the date you originally filed your claim. So you've got 1 year to do that. However, and this is kind of interesting, let's say you filed a claim, I don't know, 5 years ago, and it was denied, and you decided not to do anything about it, or you just didn't know, and you just walked away, and you were disappointed and sad. But now, having learned some things, you realize, hey, you know, I probably could have won that claim. I'm going to submit that claim again. You can. You can submit a brand new claim. Or, this is interesting, you can submit a supplemental on your original 5-year-old claim. Yeah, you can. Why? Why would you want to? You're not going to get that original claim date. Not after 5 years, not after anything after 1 year, right? So that's out the window. If you file a supplemental on a 5-year-old claim and you win, it's just going to get backdated to the date you filed that supplemental claim, not the original claim date. Under everything except some extremely odd corner cases that I'm not going to talk about right now. So, yeah. Why would you file a supplemental claim as opposed to a brand new claim? I'm not sure myself. However, I have been informed by others, I've read online, that a supplemental appeal goes through a slightly different track inside the VA as an initial claim does. So in other words, when you file a supplemental claim, even on an old claim, all the information that was in that original claim will just be pulled forward again. They're going to look at that again. And they're going to move forward based on the information that was in the original claim, plus the information that's in your supplemental claim. And so that will be the basis on how it's adjudicated. And I have been told, I don't know if it's true or not. Go ahead and leave a comment. Tell me what your experience is. I'm happy to learn here. But I've been told that that may move a little faster than a brand new initial claim. Can you file a brand new initial claim, say after 5 years or whatever? Yeah, absolutely you can. You can start completely over again from scratch and file a brand new initial claim. And you can do that as many times as you like. Honestly, there's no limit in law as to how many times you can file a claim. Now, I wouldn't necessarily spend a lot of time barking up the wrong tree. If that claim's never going to be winnable, then maybe you shouldn't waste your time, but it's your choice. But here's the point. If you file a brand new claim, you have to file all that information all over again. Your in-service event, or your service event that you're rated for, that you're filing a secondary for, whatever like that. Your current diagnosis, you have to go out and get a current diagnosis. Your nexus, or your connection between the two, in the form perhaps of a IMO, an independent medical opinion, called a nexus letter. Your buddy letters, your personal statements, your medical records, you'll have to upload all that stuff again, right? Or print that out and mail it to the VA, or however you file your claim. All that information has to be filed again because it's a brand new claim. So it's going to be looked at as if it had never been made before, as if it has never been claimed before. So it's a brand new claim with all new information. Now, maybe that's the way you want to go. Maybe you realize that the stuff you submitted previously was just so jacked up and so wrong that you've learned a lot now and you're going to submit a complete new claim and fix everything. Great, no problem. I'm not saying one way is better than the other. It depends on your circumstances, I think. Now, I once filed some claims and I never developed them because I didn't know what I was doing, and they were ultimately denied. For example, I filed a claim for high blood pressure. I have high blood pressure, so I have a current diagnosis of high blood pressure. I did not have a diagnosis of high blood pressure while I was in the Marine Corps, but I could potentially file it as a secondary to my PTSD. Okay, it's reasonable. Stress can cause high blood pressure. So when I filed that claim for high blood pressure, since I didn't know what I was doing, all I did was submit a claim. High blood pressure, I have high blood pressure. And the VA said, okay, where's your in-service event? Denied. And they were right to do that. So do I want to go back and file a supplemental and say, yeah, it should have been connected to my PTSD. Here's my current diagnosis. You've already got the PTSD service connection. I'll get a nexus letter from a medical provider and we're off to the races. Yeah, I could do that. I could totally do that. Does it get me anything? Or should I just file a brand new claim for high blood pressure, secondary to PTSD, and do the whole dance, submit all the documentation? You know, I'm going to say it's about a coin flip for me in that circumstance, because I never submitted any documentation to begin with. I don't have anything to build on. So I don't think that filing a supplemental claim in my circumstance is going to help me at all. Your circumstances might be different. But again, going back to the beginning, if you are denied for a claim, or if you don't get the rating that you think you deserve, a supplemental claim is one way to appeal that claim. It might be the way to go if you know you're missing information and you know you can provide that information. So then you file that supplemental. And again, you've got a year from the date of your decision to do that supplemental, and it'll get back paid to the date of your original claim if, in fact, you win your appeal. So that's about everything I know about supplemental claims. If you've got more information for me, please feel free to leave some comments. I am happy to learn. I hope you found this helpful. I'm Bill. I am the Salty Old Marine. please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and as always, have a great day.